famously, it's been much discussed, but it's so riveting. You had this work dynamic with the actor Klaus Kinski, and there's something in it that I understand. I understand because I've watched all the films. I've watched the documentaries about the making of the films. Yeah. I've seen him completely lose control. I've seen in real time people who are working on the film plotting to kill Kinski, Kinski plotting to and threatening to kill you, you plotting to kill Kinski. And I swear to you that what I'm saying is true right now. I've worked in comedy for 40 years, and for 30 of those years, I worked many times out in the field making comedy under duress in strange conditions. And I've wanted to kill people that I've worked with. One of them's here. Oh no, but I've gotten to an altered state at times. I've been hungry and cold, and we've needed to get this shot. And a lot of what I do is somewhat improvisational, and I need to improvise something and make something happen. Yeah, and you have to deliver, and I have to deliver something. And I do think there are times when I've gone to another state. And I'm thinking specifically of an episode I did where we were shooting in Italy, and it was late in the day and we were exhausted, and suddenly we had to shoot a thing where we're hunting for truffles, and I started to lose it. And I think I lost my mind during the truffle hunt and started hopping around like a rabbit. Now, anyone watching it might think, I don't know what's happening with Conan, or maybe he's just doing this because he thinks it's funny. No, I really did lose it and have this kind of madness, but I also understand I'm kind of in love with it. There's a part of me that is attracted to it. And of course, what you were doing, multiply that by 1,000, your work with Kinski. But when you say afterwards, no, we were brothers, to most people that would seem impossible, that this man could be screaming at you and abusing you and you screaming back at him. But no, I understand it. I understand how you can go through that with someone, but also cherish that bond. Does that?
It's hard to describe it. And in my book, I describe quite a bit about it. Number one, there is a side to all this which is hilarious. Number two, I've never lost it. I cannot remember that I ever lost it. I've always been the calmest of calm in such situations.
Yes, that's right. You don't lose it, yeah.
He would scream at the native people in the rainforest, and they would huddle, sit down, because they solved their conflicts very quietly, whispering in whispering voices. And they came afterwards to me, and one of their chiefs said to me, we were afraid, but don't you believe we were afraid of this screaming madman? They were afraid of me because I was so quiet.
Ah, okay.
And I really meant business. And in moments of real confrontation, Kinski understood when I explained to him things very, very calmly. This is impermissible. This cannot be done. What you are trying, there's a task that is beyond the two of us. We have to stick to it, or else. And he would know that this or else would mean he would be a dead man within 30 seconds flat. I didn't have to spell it out.
You just did, though. Yeah, that's incredible.
No, but
that's good that you're doing it now. You're doing it now.
Let's put it simply.
Yeah.
You have to have it in you to stop at a certain moment and to understand, yes, you do not do this. You're not going to kill each other. It's a beautiful script, which is outside of the movie, and the script is not going to happen. Otherwise, you end up on death row, and I have made 9 films on death row, and I know that every single one on death row that I met, men and women, were only a step away from what I am, or what almost all of us are.
Yeah, that's true.
Very human beings.
It's interesting because there's this new movement that's being discussed lately, and it was written about the other day, I think, in the New York Times, which said when dealing with someone who's out of control or psychotic, they say become a gray rock, become bland and very, very sort of almost disinterested, and they say it's the best way to treat them. So had you screamed back at Kinski and entertained and tried to meet him scream for scream, the whole thing would have blown up by staying almost inert as you did.
No, we had a plane crash and only garbled messages in our camp. We didn't know exactly where was it, how many people,
Was this a plane that was coming to this film shoot?
To our film, to our set, transporting extras. And I tried to make sense what it was. In Kinski at that morning, we served coffee in all the huts, and he was the last one because we altered the line of who would be first or last. His coffee was lukewarm. He just lost it over it, and he kept yelling and screaming for an hour and a half, foam at his mouth. I mean, literally, I'm not exaggerating, screaming at the top of his lung, that close to my face, that close. And I tried to explain, Klaus, there's a plane down. We need to understand what the garbled radio is transmitting to us. So, and finally, I couldn't get rid of him. I went to my hut. I had one little piece of chocolate, very good chocolate left, and I stood right in his face and ate the chocolate. That was too much for him because chocolate was the most valuable item in the camp.
Yes.
And I ate my last piece of chocolate, and he just fell silent and withdrew. Yeah.
Yes, it's like you shut down the computer. It just went to the Apple. It went to the Apple logo. There's nothing he could do at that moment.
Yeah.